Lee Kuan Yew, the architect of modern Singapore. Lee Kuan Yew, Singapore's founding father, stands as a giant of the 20th century. His leadership transformed a small, resource-scarce island nation into a global economic powerhouse. Taking the helm in 1959, Lee inherited a nation grappling with poverty, communal strife, and an uncertain future. Through sheer willpower and strategic vision, he charted a course for Singapore's remarkable ascent. Lee Kuan Yew's Singapore became synonymous with discipline, meritocracy, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. He understood that for a small nation to survive, it had to outpace its rivals, not just in economic terms but also in governance and social cohesion. He instilled a culture of zero tolerance for corruption, believing that every dollar lost to graft was a betrayal of the people's trust. Under his stewardship, Singapore became a beacon of progress, attracting foreign investment, nurturing local talent, and building a world-class infrastructure. His legacy extends beyond Singapore's shores, serving as an inspiration for developing nations navigating the complexities of globalization. Lee Kuan Yew's story is a testament to the transformative power of visionary leadership and unwavering commitment to national development. However, Lee Kuan Yew's brilliance extended beyond his own nation's borders. He possessed a keen intellect and a deep understanding of global affairs, earning him respect as a statesman and strategic thinker. His insights into geopolitics, economics, and cultural dynamics were sought after by world leaders, making him a voice of considerable influence on the international stage. The 1960s held immense promise for the Philippines. Emerging from the shadow of colonialism, the nation possessed a vibrant democracy, a young and burgeoning population, and a rapidly growing economy. In those heady days of optimism, the Philippines stood shoulder to shoulder with its Asian neighbors, poised to become a regional powerhouse. Its economy, fueled by a burgeoning manufacturing sector and robust agricultural output, outpaced many of its peers, including South Korea and Singapore. The Philippines boasted a well-educated workforce, with English proficiency giving it a competitive edge in the global marketplace. The future seemed bright, with the potential for sustained growth and prosperity seemingly within reach. This optimism was further buoyed by a vibrant democracy. The Philippines had a strong tradition of democratic institutions and a free press, which fostered a climate of open debate and civic engagement. The people were eager to contribute to their nation's progress, and there was a palpable sense of national unity and purpose. However, beneath the surface of this economic and democratic vitality, cracks were beginning to appear. Systemic issues, often overlooked in the rush for progress, threatened to undermine the very foundations of the Philippines' success. Lee Kuan Yew, with his characteristically astute observations, recognized both the promise and the perils facing the Philippines. He saw a nation blessed with abundant natural resources, a strategic geographical location, and a hard-working, adaptable people. He admired the Filipinos' entrepreneurial spirit, their resilience in the face of adversity, and their strong family values. He believed that the Philippines had all the ingredients for success, a potent mix of human and natural capital that, if harnessed effectively, could propel the nation to greatness. He saw in the Filipino people a deep well of untapped potential, a reservoir of talent and energy waiting to be unleashed. Lee Kuan Yew often drew comparisons between the Philippines and his own nation, Singapore. He saw striking similarities in their colonial pasts, their geographical locations, and the challenges they faced as young nations striving for economic development. However, he also observed stark differences in their political cultures, their approaches to governance, and their societal values. These differences, he believed, would ultimately determine their respective trajectories. While he acknowledged the Philippines' potential, he also harbored deep concerns about its ability to overcome the systemic challenges that threatened to derail its progress. Lee Kuan Yew's admiration for the Filipino people was tempered by his critique of what he perceived as a soft, forgiving culture, particularly within the echelons of power. He observed a tendency to prioritize personal relationships and political expediency over meritocracy and accountability. This forgiving culture, he argued, created a climate of impunity, where those in positions of authority were rarely held accountable for their actions, especially when it came to corruption and abuse of power. He believed that this leniency towards transgressions, particularly among the political elite, would ultimately erode public trust and hinder the country's progress. He contrasted this with the strict, even ruthless approach to governance that he had implemented in Singapore. He believed that for a nation to succeed, especially one emerging from the shadow of colonialism, it needed a strong, decisive leadership willing to make tough choices, even unpopular ones, for the greater good. Lee Kuan Yew argued that a culture of discipline, where the rule of law was applied equally to all, was essential for creating a level playing field and fostering economic growth. He saw the Philippines' softness as a fundamental obstacle to achieving its true potential. Section 5. The Cancer of Corruption, Eroding the Philippine Promise. Central to Lee Kuan Yew's critique of the Philippines was his unwavering stance against corruption. He viewed it as a cancer that ate away at the very fabric of society, eroding public trust, discouraging investment, and exacerbating inequality. He believed that corruption, if left unchecked, would strangle the Philippines' potential and condemn it to a future of underachievement. He pointed to the systemic nature of corruption in the Philippines, where it had become deeply entrenched in the institutions of government, permeating all levels of society. He argued that this culture of impunity, where corrupt officials often acted with brazen disregard for the law, sent a dangerous message that undermined the rule of law and discouraged foreign investment. Lee Kuan Yew's own success in Singapore was inextricably linked to his relentless pursuit of a corruption-free government. He understood that for a small nation with limited resources to compete globally, it needed to create a level playing field where businesses could thrive without fear of extortion or unfair competition. He instilled a culture of transparency and accountability, making it clear that corruption would not be tolerated at any level of government. His zero-tolerance approach, while often criticized for its severity, proved remarkably effective in transforming Singapore into one of the least corrupt nations in the world. Section 6. A Legacy Squandered, the Philippines' Descent. As the decades passed, Lee Kuan Yew's warnings about the Philippines' trajectory proved prescient. While other Asian nations, including Singapore, surged ahead, the Philippines found itself mired in a cycle of corruption, political instability, and economic stagnation. The promise of the 1960s seemed like a distant memory. The imposition of martial law in the 1970s, while initially presented as a means to restore order, instead ushered in an era of authoritarian rule marked by widespread human rights abuses and rampant corruption. Billions of dollars were siphoned off from public coffers, further enriching a corrupt elite, while the majority of Filipinos struggled to make ends meet. The Philippines' economic growth sputtered, hampered by cronyism, a lack of infrastructure investment, and a business environment stifled by red tape and corruption. The gap between the rich and the poor widened, fueling social unrest and undermining the very foundations of Philippine democracy. Despite sporadic periods of economic growth, the Philippines struggled to shake off the legacy of corruption and cronyism that had become deeply ingrained in its political and economic systems. Lee Kuan Yew's warnings, once dismissed by some as overly critical, now resonated with an unsettling familiarity. Section 7. The Prophetic Echo, Lee Kuan Yew's Warnings in the 21st Century. Fast forward to the 21st century, and Lee Kuan Yew's words continue to echo with a haunting relevance. Despite some progress in recent years, the Philippines still grapples with the same systemic issues that he identified decades ago. Corruption remains endemic, eroding public trust and hindering economic development. Newspaper headlines in 2025 paint a stark picture of the challenges facing the Philippines. Articles from the highlight ongoing concerns about election funds misuse, potential election hotspots, and government aid programs being scrutinized for irregularities. These contemporary examples underscore the persistent nature of the problems that Lee Kuan Yew had warned about. The geopolitical landscape of 2025 further complicates the Philippines' path forward. The rise of China, coupled with shifting alliances in the region, presents both opportunities and challenges. The Philippines finds itself caught in a geopolitical tug-of-war, needing to balance its relationship with the United States, its long-standing ally, with the economic and strategic realities of China's growing influence. Lee Kuan Yew's warning about the need for strong, decisive leadership resonates in this uncertain geopolitical environment. The Philippines needs leaders who can navigate these complex challenges with wisdom, integrity, and a commitment to putting the interests of their people first. Section 8. Singapore's success: a model, not a mirror. Singapore's remarkable transformation under Lee Kuan Yew's leadership offers valuable lessons for the Philippines. However, it's crucial to recognize that Singapore's experience cannot be replicated wholesale. Each nation has its unique history, culture, and set of challenges. Singapore's success was built on a foundation of discipline, meritocracy, and a relentless focus on economic development. Lee Kuan Yew's government implemented tough laws, invested heavily in education and infrastructure, and created a business-friendly environment that attracted foreign investment. While the Philippines can certainly learn from Singapore's experience, it's essential to avoid the temptation to simply copy and paste policies without considering the local context. The Philippines needs to find its own path to success, one that is rooted in its own history, culture, and aspirations. Blindly emulating Singapore's model, with its emphasis on top-down control and social engineering, would be both impractical and undesirable in the Philippine context. The Philippines' vibrant democracy, with its emphasis on individual freedoms and civil liberties, is a strength to be nurtured, not suppressed. Section 9. A call to action: reclaiming the Philippine future. Lee Kuan Yew's critique of the Philippines was not intended as a condemnation, but rather as a wake-up call. He saw the nation's immense potential, and believed that it could overcome its challenges if it made the right choices. His message, though delivered with characteristic bluntness, was ultimately one of hope and possibility. The Philippines stands at a crossroads. It can choose to continue down the path of complacency, where corruption festers, mediocrity is accepted, and the potential of its people remains unfulfilled. Or it can choose a different path, one that embraces the values of transparency, accountability, and meritocracy. This requires a fundamental shift in mindset, a rejection of the soft, forgiving culture that has held the nation back for too long. It requires a new generation of leaders who are willing to put the interests of their people above personal gain and political expediency. The Filipino people deserve a government that is as hardworking, resilient, and full of potential as they are. The time for excuses is over. The time for action is now. The Philippines, with its abundant talent and resources, has the potential to reclaim its rightful place as a beacon of progress and prosperity in Asia and beyond. The question is, will it seize the opportunity?